The stars looked different from the observation deck of the UES horizon. Major Samuel Wright stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the massive alien ship approach. After 20 years in the military, he thought nothing could surprise him anymore. He was wrong. "Major, they're hailing us again," said Lieutenant Grace Miller, her voice steady despite the tension. "They want to know if our leaders are ready to meet." Samuel nodded. "Tell them we're preparing the conference room now." The message that had arrived 3 months ago was simple: we are not alone. A fleet of ships had entered the solar system, stopping just beyond Mars. They called themselves the Galactic Council, a union of 7 advanced alien species who had been watching Earth for decades. Samuel didn't trust them. Something about their sudden appearance felt wrong, but his orders were clear. Establish peaceful contact. Share cultural information. Begin talks for possible alliance. The conference room door slid open, and Dr. Evelyn Ross entered. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and she carried several tablets under her arm. "The translation program is ready," she said. "I've been studying their language patterns from the messages they sent. It's complex, but I think we can manage basic communication." Samuel frowned. "What's your honest assessment, Evelyn? Your gut feeling?" Evelyn hesitated. "Their language has inconsistencies, almost like they're simplifying it for us, but in a way that could lead to misunderstandings." "Deliberately?" Samuel asked. "I can't say for sure. It could be cultural differences." She shrugged. "Or they could be hiding something." A soft chime interrupted them. The aliens had docked with the horizon. President Laura Hayes entered with her security team. "Major Wright, is everything ready?" "Yes, Madam President, but I recommend caution. Dr. Ross has concerns about their communication methods." The President nodded. "Noted, but remember what's at stake here. This could mean a new era for humanity." The doors opened, and the alien delegation entered. Samuel stiffened. The aliens were tall and slender with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer. Their leader stepped forward. Unlike the others who wore simple white garments, this one was dressed in flowing robes with intricate patterns. "I am Theknar, ambassador of the Xilari and representative of the Galactic Council," the alien said, its voice translated through the speakers. "We come in peace and friendship." President Hayes stepped forward. "I am Laura Hayes, President of the United Earth Alliance. We welcome you to our ship and to our solar system." The meeting continued for hours. The aliens spoke of their council, their advanced technology, their peaceful missions across the galaxy. They offered humanity membership as a protected species. Samuel noticed how Dr. Ross frowned at certain translations, typing notes rapidly on her tablet. When the aliens mentioned resource sharing, her eyes narrowed. Later, after the aliens returned to their ship, Samuel found Evelyn in her office. "What troubled you in there?" he asked. "Their term for protected species uses a root word that could also mean controlled or managed," she said. "And when they discussed resources, they used phrasing that implies taking rather than sharing." Samuel looked out the window at the massive alien ship. "I'll include your concerns in my report," but the president seemed impressed. "The whole world is impressed," Evelyn said. "They're offering technology that could end disease, hunger, energy shortages. No one wants to hear about strange word choices." A week later, Earth's leaders signed the first treaty with the Galactic Council. Humanity was officially welcomed as the 8th protected member species. News channels showed celebrations across the globe. Standing at the signing ceremony, Samuel watched the alien ambassador. For just a moment, he thought he saw something in those large, dark eyes, something that looked like satisfaction rather than friendship. "I hope we haven't made a terrible mistake," he whispered to himself as applause filled the room. 5 years had passed since Earth joined the Galactic Council. Admiral Samuel Wright stared at the report on his desk. The words blurred together after hours of reading, but the message was clear. Earth was getting a bad deal. "More bad news?" asked Captain Peter Daniels, entering Samuel's office aboard the UES Defender, Earth's newest warship. Samuel pushed the tablet across his desk. "Read it yourself. Another protective platform being installed in orbit. That makes 12 now. Meanwhile, our requests for FTL drive technology have been denied again. They always say we're not ready yet," Peter said, setting down a cup of coffee for his commander. Samuel took a sip and nodded. 5 years of sharing our resources, our art, our culture. What have we gotten in return? Medical advancements, yes, but nothing that gives us true independence. An alert flashed on Samuel's screen. "Dr. Ross is calling from Earth. Put her through to my office." Evelyn's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired, with new lines around her eyes. "Admiral, I have some troubling news," she said. "The treaty revisions have been approved without the changes we requested. The Council now has access to mining rights in the Pacific Basin." Samuel frowned. The President approved this. The Council representatives were very persuasive. They promised new agricultural technology in exchange. Their conversation was interrupted by a security alert. A young engineer named Olivia Martinez requested an urgent meeting. Samuel had never met her, but Evelyn vouched for her abilities. 20 minutes later, Olivia sat nervously across from Samuel. Her hands trembled slightly as she placed a data drive on his desk. "I've been analyzing the orbital platforms," she said. "The ones the Council claims are for our protection." "And?" Samuel prompted. "They're weapons, sir. Powerful ones. I found energy signatures that match Council ship cannons but much larger. And they're all aimed at Earth, not outward toward space." Samuel's face remained calm, but his eyes hardened. "How did you discover this?" "I was part of the human technical team allowed to observe the installation of Platform 7. I noticed power routing that didn't match the schematics they provided. I've been investigating since then." Samuel shared a look with Evelyn through the video link. "Have you reported this to anyone else?" "I tried. I presented my findings to the Human Council Relations Committee last week." Olivia looked down. "Yesterday, I received transfer orders to the Mars Research Station. I leave tomorrow." "There's silence in you," Evelyn said quietly. Olivia nodded. "That's why I came to you first, Admiral. Someone needs to know the truth." Later that night, Samuel couldn't sleep. He stood at the viewport of his quarters, looking down at Earth. The blue planet seemed so vulnerable from here. His private communication console chimed. The caller used an old military encryption that Samuel hadn't seen since his days as a major. "This is Admiral Wright." "Samuel, it's Laura Hayes." Samuel straightened. The former president had retired from public life 3 years ago. "Madam President, this is unexpected." "I'm not president anymore, Samuel. Just a concerned citizen." Her voice was lower, more cautious than he remembered. "I've been watching the Council's activities since I left office. Something isn't right. I'm beginning to think the same thing. The new resource treaties are dangerous. We're giving too much away for too little in return." She paused. "I have sources that suggest the Council sees Earth as a resource world, not an equal member." Samuel thought about Olivia's discovery. What can we do? For now, gather information. Build connections with others who share our concerns. And prepare, Samuel. Her voice grew firm. Prepare for the possibility that our protectors might become our oppressors. After the call ended, Samuel returned to the viewport. One of the orbital platforms was visible now, a dark silhouette against Earth's blue surface. 5 years ago, he had worried they were making a mistake. Now he was certain of it. John Blackwell didn't look like a spy. With his round face and friendly smile, most people thought he was just another office worker at the Council's diplomatic hub on Luna. That was exactly what made him so effective. John worked in data management, a boring job that gave him access to countless files. For 3 years, he had been copying small bits of information. Today was different. Today he found something big. He stared at his screen, reading the file again. It was a Council assessment of human capabilities, marked as top secret. The words burned into his mind. Humans represent a dangerous potential competitor species. Their rapid advancement and resource consumption patterns indicate they could challenge Council's supremacy within 2 centuries if allowed unrestricted development. Containment and harvesting protocols are recommended. John's hands shook as he copied the file to his hidden drive. Another document caught his eye. It showed Earth's classification in the Council's Species Index. Earth wasn't listed as a member world. Instead, it was classified as a resource world. The door to the data center slid open. John quickly closed the files and pretended to work on routine tasks. "Working late again, Blackwell?" asked Lisa Carter, a security officer for the Earth delegation. John nodded. "Just finishing up some reports." Lisa leaned against his desk. They had become friends over the past year, sharing meals and occasionally complaining about their jobs. John suspected she was military intelligence rather than regular security, but they never discussed it. "You look worried," she said quietly. He hesitated. If he was wrong about her, sharing his discovery could be dangerous. But his gut told him to trust her. "I found something," he whispered. "Something bad." Her expression didn't change, but her eyes sharpened. "Not here," she said. "Meet me at the observation deck in 20 minutes. Later, as they looked out at the Earth hanging in the black sky, John showed her the files. "This confirms what we've suspected," Lisa said after reading them. "The Council never intended to treat us as equals." "We need to get this information to Earth," John said. Lisa shook her head. "Council monitors all communications. We need to deliver this in person." She looked at him seriously. "This is dangerous, John. You understand that?" John thought about his comfortable job, his apartment in the Luna colony, the life he had built here. Then he thought about Earth, about his family in Oregon, about all the people who had no idea they were being set up for exploitation. "I understand," he said. "What's the plan?" 2 weeks later, John boarded a transport ship to Earth, carrying the stolen files hidden in a modified personal medical device. Lisa had arranged everything, using her security clearance to bypass normal protocols. The ship docked at the new Pacific spaceport in what used to be Hawaii. John passed through customs without issues and made his way to a small hotel near the beach. In his room, he found a message with instructions. The next morning, he sat on a bench in a quiet park, watching children play. A tall man in a military uniform sat beside him. "Beautiful day," said Admiral Samuel Wright. "Perfect for a walk," John replied, using the code phrase Lisa had given him. They walked together along a path that circled a small lake. John explained what he had discovered, and Samuel listened without interruption. "This evidence confirms our suspicions," Samuel said finally. "We've formed a group called the Prometheus Protocol to prepare for possible Council aggression. Your information will help us greatly." "What happens now?" John asked. "Now you meet the rest of the team. Dr. Ross is eager to speak with you about Council communication protocols, and we need to find a safe place for you to stay. I can't go back to Luma, can I?" Samuel shook his head. "You've chosen a side, Mr. Blackwell. We'll protect you, but your old life is over." As they walked toward a waiting vehicle, John looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, the Council was making plans for Earth's future, plans that didn't include freedom for humanity. He hoped they were ready for what would come next. The ocean floor trembled as the massive Council extraction ships hovered above the Pacific. Their energy beams cut through water like knives through butter, pulling up strange blue crystals that glowed in the dark depths. Admiral Samuel Wright watched the live feed from a submarine stationed just outside the Council's security zone. His face showed no emotion, but his knuckles turned white as he gripped the edge of the table. "How long has this been going on?" he asked. 3 days, replied Dr. Evelyn Ross. "They found the beryllium deposits last week, the largest source in this sector of the galaxy, according to our friend Mr. Blackwell. And they didn't even pretend to negotiate," Samuel said. John Blackwell nodded. Beryllium is critical for their faster-than-light drives, one of their most valuable resources. The meeting room fell silent as they watched another extraction beam slice into the ocean floor. Warning lights flashed on the display. Seismic activity increasing, reported a young officer. Magnitude 6.2 earthquake off the coast of Japan. Tsunami warnings in effect for the entire western Pacific Rim. Samuel stood up. Get me the president. Now. President Kevin Phillips was not a strong leader. He had won the election on promises of greater integration with the council and their advanced technology. His face on the screen looked pale and afraid. Admiral, I've already spoken with Ambassador Theknar, the president said. They assure me the extraction process is safe and that Earth will receive fair compensation for the resources. Fair compensation. Samuel's voice was cold. People are dying, Mr. President. The earthquakes have already killed thousands in Japan and the Philippines. That tsunami will kill more. They say it's just an adjustment period. The seismic activity will stabilize once. Samuel cut him off. They're lying. Dr. Ross has analyzed their extraction methods. The damage to the Pacific Plate will be catastrophic and permanent. The president looked away. What do you expect me to do? We signed the Resource Allocation Treaty. They have the legal right to these minerals. A treaty signed under false pretenses, Dr. Ross said. They never told us what they really wanted from Earth. Submit a formal protest, Samuel said. Demand they stop the extraction immediately. The president nodded weakly. I'll try, Admiral, but don't expect much. The call ended, and Samuel turned to his team. He won't succeed. We need to prepare for the worst. 24 hours later, the worst came. The president's protest was rejected. When he threatened to use Earth's small fleet of space vessels to protect the extraction zone, the Council activated a hidden clause in the treaty, the right to use necessary security measures to protect vital resources. Lisa Carter burst into the command center, her face grim. The orbital platforms are powering up. All 12 of them. Samuel immediately ordered an emergency broadcast to all military installations worldwide. This is not a drill. Seek shelter immediately. I repeat, this is not a drill. But the warning came too late. The orbital platforms fired in perfect synchronization. Beams of energy rained down on Earth's major military bases, spaceports, and defense installations. Millions died in the first minutes of the attack. In the chaos, Samuel managed to evacuate key personnel to a hardened facility beneath the Appalachian Mountains. As they huddled around emergency communications equipment, reports of destruction poured in from around the world. This is what they planned all along, John Blackwell said quietly. Containment and harvesting. Samuel looked at the small group of survivors. They had anticipated betrayal, but not on this scale. Not this soon. The Council thinks this attack will break us, he said. They think humans will surrender, accept their place as a resource world. His eyes hardened as he looked at each person in the room. They don't understand who they're dealing with. They don't understand humanity. Dr. Ross nodded grimly. What do we do now, Admiral? Samuel's voice was steady as he answered. Now we fight back. 6 months after the attack, the ruins of San Diego stood silent under the morning sun. The once busy city was now mostly empty. Buildings leaned against each other like tired old men. Streets were cracked and full of holes. Olivia Martinez moved carefully through the shadows. Her clothes were dirty and torn, but her eyes were sharp and alert. She carried a small backpack and a device that looked like a phone but was much more powerful. She stopped near a fallen highway sign and checked her device. No Council drones nearby. Good. She took a small radio from her pocket. Eagle's Nest. This is Mockingbird. Area 4 is clear. Moving to the meeting point now. A voice crackled back. Copy that, Mockingbird. Be careful. Olivia put away the radio and continued through the empty streets. Before the attack, she had been an engineer studying the Council's orbital platforms. Now she led one of the largest resistance networks on the West Coast. She reached an old shopping mall and slipped inside through a broken door. In the dark space that once sold clothes and toys, 30 people waited for her. Some wore old military uniforms, others were in civilian clothes. All looked tired but determined. "The council ships are moving again," Olivia said without greeting. "They're setting up a new extraction site near what's left of Catalina Island." A tall man with a scar on his face nodded. "More beryllium." "Yes, and they're bringing in permanent structures this time. Colony buildings." The group fell silent. Council colonies meant the aliens planned to stay. "What about Admiral Wright's forces?" asked an older woman. "Still operating from the mountain base," Olivia said, "but they're spread thin. The Council controls most major cities and all spaceports." She unfolded a map on a dusty table. "Our job is to gather information and disrupt their operations when possible. My sources say a supply convoy will pass through here tomorrow." She pointed to a highway just outside the city. "What kind of supplies?" someone asked. "Food and medicine for their workers, and parts for their mining equipment." Olivia looked up. "We're not going to attack the convoy. Just watch it and report. Admiral Wright's orders." Some people looked disappointed, but no one argued. They knew direct attacks on Council forces usually ended badly. Far away, in the secret base under the Appalachian Mountains, Admiral Samuel Wright studied a different map. This one showed Council positions across North America. "They're establishing permanent colonies," he said to Dr. Ross, who stood beside him. "Just as Blackwell's intelligence suggested." Evelyn nodded. "They think we're beaten." "That's good. It gives us time." Samuel turned to a group of scientists and engineers working at computers nearby. "How close are we?" A young scientist looked up. "We've reversed engineered some of their communication technology, and we've made progress on their sensor systems. But we're still far behind on weapons and shields," added another. Samuel's face showed no frustration. "Keep working. Every day we learn more." Lisa Carter entered the room with John Blackwell. They had just returned from a dangerous mission to a fallen Council ship. "We got the data cores," Lisa said, placing a small container on the table. "And something else." "Show him, John." John opened a case to reveal a strange device. "It's part of their quantum communication system, the one they use to talk to their homeworlds." Samuel picked it up carefully. "Can we use it?" John smiled for the first time in months. "Better than that. We can hack it, and they'll never know." As night fell across what remained of Earth's cities, the Council continued its work. Their ships hummed over the oceans. Their colonies grew larger. Their reports to the homeworld spoke of an almost complete victory. They didn't see the small groups of humans watching from the shadows. They didn't notice the missing parts from damaged ships. They didn't detect the hidden bases where humans studied their technology. They believed humanity was broken. They were wrong. Dr. Evelyn Ross hadn't slept in 2 days. Her eyes burned as she stared at the strange patterns on her screen. For months, she had studied Council technology, looking for any weakness. Now she might have found one. "Admiral, you need to see this," she called. Samuel Wright joined her at the workstation. The underground base was busy with activity as scientists and soldiers worked together, preparing for humanity's comeback. "What am I looking at?" Samuel asked. "Brain scans," Evelyn said. "Ours compared to the 3 Council species we have data on." She pointed to different colored patterns. "See how they process information in straight, organized paths. Now look at human patterns." Samuel leaned closer. The human brain scan showed wild, connecting paths that jumped and crossed in ways the alien patterns didn't. "We think differently," Evelyn said simply. "Not just culturally, but physically. Our brains make connections their brains don't." "How does this help us?" Samuel asked. Evelyn smiled for the first time in weeks. "Their quantum computers are based on their brain patterns, organized, predictable. We've been trying to understand their technology by thinking like them." She tapped the human brain scan. "But we need to think like us." She led Samuel to another room, where a team of scientists worked on a captured council computer. "We rewrote the programs using human thinking patterns," she explained. "Intuitive leaps, unexpected connections, things their computers aren't designed to understand or detect." A young scientist pressed a button, and the alien device hummed to life. On a screen, council security systems appeared, but they showed no alerts or warnings. "We're in their system," Evelyn said, "and they can't see us. Their computers don't recognize our approach as possible, so they don't look for it." Samuel's eyes widened. "Can we use this to disable the orbital platforms?" "Not yet, but we can create stealth technology they can't detect, and we can intercept their communications without them knowing." 3 days later, Samuel called a meeting with all resistance leaders. Olivia Martinez joined by secure video link from the West Coast. John Blackwell and Lisa Carter presented the intelligence they had gathered. "The Council believes we are nearly defeated," John explained. "They're focusing on building permanent extraction facilities and colonies. Their military presence is spreading thin." Samuel stepped forward. "Thanks to Dr. Ross and her team, we now have technology the Council can't detect." He displayed images of small, sleek ships. "These vessels are equipped with stealth systems based on human brain patterns. They're invisible to Council sensors." Lisa continued, "We've identified 23 communication relay stations the Council uses to coordinate their forces on Earth. They're lightly defended because the Council thinks we lack the technology to target them." Samuel outlined the plan. Operation Thunderclap, a coordinated global strike against all communication relays simultaneously. Without these, the Council forces on Earth will be cut off from their fleet and homeworlds. Olivia spoke from her video link. "My teams can provide ground support for the Western targets, but even if we succeed, the orbital platforms are still a threat." "One problem at a time," Samuel said. "First, we isolate the enemy forces on Earth. Then we deal with the platforms." 3 weeks of intense preparation followed. Human resistance fighters trained to support the attack. Scientists worked day and night to equip more stealth ships. Spies gathered final intelligence on Council defenses. On a cloudy night, Samuel stood in the command center, watching as the stealth ships launched from hidden bases around the world. "All units report ready," Lisa said from her communication station. Samuel took a deep breath. This was humanity's first major counterattack. If it failed, they might not get another chance. "Begin Operation Thunderclap," he ordered. Across the globe, human stealth ships approached Council relay stations. The alien sensors showed nothing unusual. No alarms sounded. No defenses activated. The first strike hit a relay station in North Africa, then another in Brazil, then Australia. One by one, the Council's communication network began to go dark. For the first time since the betrayal, Samuel allowed himself to feel hope. Humanity was fighting back, and the Council didn't even see them coming. Lisa Carter stood on the bridge of the captured Council command ship. 3 weeks had passed since Operation Thunderclap. The mission had succeeded beyond their hopes. Without their communication network, Council forces on Earth were confused and isolated. "Status report," Lisa ordered. "We have full access to their tactical network," said a young officer at a control panel. "They still don't know we've taken the ship." The capture of the command ship had been Lisa's idea. While Council forces scrambled to restore communications, a team of human soldiers led by Lisa had boarded one of their command vessels. The aliens never expected an attack from inside their own security perimeter. Lisa studied the strange symbols on the main screen. Thanks to John Blackwell's knowledge of Council systems, they could now read the alien data. What she saw surprised her. "Get Admiral Wright," she said. "He needs to see this." An hour later, Samuel joined her on the captured ship. His eyes widened as he reviewed the information. "Are you sure this is accurate?" he asked. Lisa nodded. "Completely. The 7 Council species aren't the unified force they pretended to be. They've evolved for specific roles and depend on each other for skills they lack. She pointed to different sections of data. The Tsilari are strategists but physically weak. The Drek are strong but lack advanced technical skills. The Vulturi understand space travel but know little about weapons. They need each other, Samuel said, and two of these species, the Drek and Vulturi, are treated as lesser members. Exactly. According to these records, they join the council last and get the smallest share of resources. Samuel's mind raced with possibilities. If we offer these two species a better deal, we might split the council, Lisa finished, and gain allies with knowledge of council weaknesses. Back at the mountain base, Samuel shared the discovery with Dr. Ross and Olivia Martinez, who had traveled east for an emergency meeting. We need to contact these species directly, Samuel said. Offer them exclusive trade rights with Earth. Can we trust any of them? Olivia asked. Her experiences fighting council forces had left her suspicious of all aliens. Trust isn't necessary, John Blackwell said as he joined the meeting. Just mutual interest. The records show the Drek and Vulturi have been planning to leave the council for decades, but lack the resources to survive alone. And we need something else, Samuel added. A way to neutralize those orbital platforms. Olivia leaned forward. My team found something in the ruins of Los Angeles. A council engineer who survived one of our raids. He knows the platform's control systems. Will he help us? Dr. Ross asked. He's a Vulturi, Olivia said. He claims his people never wanted to attack Earth. They were forced to provide the platform technology by the dominant council species. Even if that's true, how do we use this information? Samuel asked. John smiled. I can answer that. The command ship gave us access to council override codes. With those and inside knowledge of the platform systems, we could take control of the weapons, Samuel finished. 3 days later, Samuel addressed the largest gathering of resistance leaders since the attack. Representatives from surviving military units and civilian groups filled the underground chamber. Today we begin our full counteroffensive, he said. While our diplomatic team contacts the Drek and Vulturi, our technical team will attempt to seize control of the orbital platforms. He showed them images from around the world. Council forces in disarray. Extraction operations slowed or stopped entirely. Alien ships gathering in defensive formations. For the first time, the enemy is reacting to us instead of the other way around, Samuel continued. They're confused, isolated from their homeworlds. And soon, they'll be divided. A soldier in the back called out, What if the platforms don't work? What if we can't turn them? Samuel nodded at the valid concern. Then we fight with what we have. But know this, humans have already accomplished what the Council thought impossible. We survived their betrayal. We learned their technology. We struck back. He looked around the room, meeting the eyes of people who had lost everything but refused to surrender. The Council believed humans would accept defeat, he said. They were wrong, and they're about to learn just how wrong they were. 1 year after the great counteroffensive began, Admiral Samuel Wright stood on the observation deck of the UES Defiance, Earth's first true battleship. Through the large windows, he watched as workers dismantled the last orbital platform. Instead of destroying it, they were turning it into something new. Humanity's first space colony. Quite a view, said Dr. Evelyn Ross as she joined him. Samuel nodded. Hard to believe how much has changed in a year. The changes had been remarkable. After taking control of the orbital platforms and turning them against Council forces, humans had pushed the invaders back. The Drek and Vulturi, tired of being second-class members of the Council, had accepted Earth's offer of alliance. Their knowledge and technology, combined with humanity's innovative thinking, had been unstoppable. The treaty signing begins in an hour, Evelyn reminded him. Samuel straightened his uniform. Is Ambassador Theknar still complaining about the terms? Of course, but the Xilari don't have much choice now. They walked together to the ship's conference room. Representatives from Earth and all Council species waited inside. At the center of the room stood a large table with the new treaty displayed on its surface. Samuel took his place beside President Maria Alvarez, who had been elected after the war began. She had helped unite Earth's surviving nations and lead the counterattack. "Admiral Wright," she said warmly, "the hero of Earth." Samuel shook his head. "There were many heroes, Madam President. I just did my part." The door opened, and Ambassador Theknar entered with other Silari representatives. The once proud alien now moved stiffly, avoiding eye contact with the humans. President Alvarez opened the ceremony. "Today we sign the new Galactic Accord. This treaty recognizes Earth as an independent power with full rights to its resources and system." She nodded to Samuel, who continued, "The treaty also establishes the new alliance of independent worlds, including Earth, the Drek Collective, and the Volturi Federation." Ambassador Theknar spoke next, his voice lacking its former confidence. "The Galactic Council acknowledges Earth's sovereignty and the right of the Drek and Volturi to form separate alliances. We agree to the reparations specified for damages caused during the conflict." One by one, the representatives pressed their hands or appendages to the treaty. When all had signed, the room erupted in applause. Later, as the celebration continued, Samuel found Olivia Martins watching Earth through a viewport. She had led the team that disabled the orbital platforms using Council override codes. "Thinking about San Diego?" Samuel asked. Olivia nodded. "The rebuilding has started. It will take years, but people are returning home. Thanks to you and your resistance fighters." She smiled. "And to John and Lisa. Their intelligence work was crucial." Across the room, John Blackwell and Lisa Carter were deep in conversation with Drek and Volturi representatives. After the war, they had established the Interspecies Intelligence Service to prevent future conflicts. "What happens now?" Olivia asked. Before Samuel could answer, Theknar approached them. The Silari ambassador hesitated, then spoke directly to Samuel. "You have surprised us, Admiral Wright. When the Council first discovered Earth, we saw only a resource to be harvested. We never imagined that we would fight back." Samuel suggested. "That you would win," Theknar corrected. "No species has ever successfully opposed the Council." "You made a critical mistake," Samuel said. "You judged humanity by our technology, not by our spirit." The ambassador nodded slowly. "The Council believed your world was just another conquest. Instead, you have changed the galaxy forever." As Theknar walked away, Olivia turned to Samuel. "He's right, you know. We have changed everything." Samuel looked out at Earth, blue and beautiful against the blackness of space. The planet bore scars from the conflict, but already humanity was rebuilding, growing stronger, reaching further. "The Council's betrayal was meant to end us," Samuel said quietly. "Instead, it showed us what we're capable of." Together, they watched as the first lights of the new space colony flickered to life. Not a weapon platform anymore, but a stepping stone to the stars. Humanity had survived its darkest hour and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. The universe would never be the same again.